Hey there, Washington Commanders fans. Today, I'm bringing you a complete and unmissable analysis of our upcoming Week 3 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, we're in prime time. And when we play under the spotlight, the pressure is different. So, if you want to know everything about how the Commanders can come out with a win, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss any of this analysis, because I'll be bringing you 5 crucial points that will define the outcome of the game. Shall we dive in? First point, folks, scoring in the red zone. This was a major problem in the last game against the Giants. We had 6 opportunities to reach the red zone, but in 4 of them, we only managed field goals. The 21-18 victory was very tight, and believe me, we could have won by a landslide. But hold on. Let's remember that Austin Seibert broke a franchise record, and it was an important win. However, against Joe Burrow's Bengals with Chase and T. Higgins, that performance won't be enough. They have an explosive offense and field goals won't cut it. Now think about this. 425 total yards, 22 first downs, and yet we stalled when it came to scoring touchdowns. Trust me, it's frustrating. It's not just the penalties, although false starts were a serious problem in the red zone. There were 4 penalties inside the 20-yard line, and the offense still seems to stall when it reaches this point. We only managed 27 yards on plays in the most critical area of the field. This has to change. And if the defense continues to allow field goals, as they have been doing, 10 out of 16 opponent possessions resulted in points, it's going to be tough to contain the Bengals. Now let's talk about Joe Burrow, who will be a big problem for the Commanders, especially if our pass rush can't pressure him. Burrow is in the middle of the league in passing yards and has a QBR of 15th. But don't be fooled, he's very dangerous. Even if he's not 100% physically, this is the same guy who led the league in completion rate in 2021 and has already passed 4,000 yards in previous seasons. In other words, if he has time to throw, the Bengals can cause us a lot of problems. Now, the good news is that the Bengals' offensive line isn't perfect yet. Burrow has already been sacked 6 times, and 5 of those sacks happened on 3rd downs. This is where our chance comes in. If we can pressure him in these critical moments, we have everything it takes to get him off the field earlier. But so far, we're still lacking in the pass rush. Despite a pressure win rate of 45%, which puts us 11th in the league, we've only managed 2 sacks so far, leaving us tied for last place. So folks, what's missing? The truth is that both the offense and defense are having problems with finishing. We get close, but we're missing that something extra to close out plays. Part of this, of course, is the chemistry between players, which is still developing. But the season waits for no one, and if we don't adjust this soon, it's going to be complicated. And if you're enjoying this analysis so far, do this. Subscribe to the channel, because it really helps us continue to bring content to you. Not to mention, you'll always be up to date with the latest Commanders news, and leave in the comments what you think needs to change in the team to beat the Bengals. I want to know your opinion because this space is made by fans for fans. Now, back to the game. The Bengals' offensive line is 5th in pass block win rate, which means it won't be easy to bring Burrow down. But as I said before, if we speed up his process, if we can force him to make quick decisions, we can cause errors. Cincinnati's defense is shaky at the start of the year, so this is our chance to surprise them. But the question is, will we be able to pressure Burrow enough to impact the game? And of course, we can't forget that our defense also needs adjustments. If we allow the Bengals to get into a rhythm, as has happened in other games, it's going to be a long night for us. Their offense's explosive potential is there, and if we don't pressure Burrow, if we don't force errors, we run the risk of giving them what they need to find themselves in the season. So, how do you think our pass rush will fare against one of the best offensive lines in the league? Leave it in the comments. And now, I want to take a pause for a moment of reflection. You who are watching, what do you think is most crucial in this matchup? Is it our ability to score in the red zone? Or do you think the most important thing is pressuring Burrow? I want you to think hard because this is the kind of game that will define our season. We're talking about a key moment for the Washington Commanders, and anything can happen. There's still a lot more to talk about in this game. If the Commanders' defense doesn't improve, especially on 3rd downs, we'll continue to give life to the opposing offense. This already happened against the Giants, and it could repeat against the Bengals. The difference is that Cincinnati's offense has much more talent and explosiveness, so we can't give them that chance. That's why practice will be crucial. Coach Quinn and his staff need to adjust communication and improve team discipline. We can't commit the same penalties and expect to come out with a win. So the question I leave for you fans is, can we fix these problems in time? Will we be able to pressure Burrow and at the same time score touchdowns instead of field goals? Seriously, folks, there's no ignoring what Brian Robinson Jr. is doing on the field. He rushed for an incredible 133 yards, propelling the team to 215 total yards on the ground just in the last game. That's insane. We're talking about one of the best rushing performances in the entire league. The Commanders are currently 5th in the NFL with an average of 176.5 yards per game. And get this, each run is averaging 5.4 yards. It's the kind of number that puts fear into any defense. Almost half of our first downs come from the run, which ties us for 6th in the league. And you know what that means? Our offense is becoming more and more solid. Now, for the next game, the scenario continues to look promising. We're facing the Bengals, who, despite having a respectable defense, are struggling against the run game. They have the 7th worst record in the league, giving up 159.5 yards per game. For a team like ours, which is dominating on the ground, this is practically an invitation for another great performance from Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. And there's more. The Bengals are dealing with serious injury problems. B.J. Hill, Sheldon Rankin, and Chris Jenkins are all injured. In other words, our offensive line has a golden opportunity to create space and continue exploiting what we do best, running the ball. But hold on, folks. Don't think we're going to have an easy time all the time. The Bengals know our strength is in the run game, so there will be moments when they'll fully commit to stopping it. Don't expect every run to be a 10 or 15-yard gain. We'll have to be persistent, keep feeding Robinson Jr. and Eckler, because at some point, that defensive wall will give way, and then we'll be able to gain those precious yards. Remember the Patriots and Chiefs' victories over the Bengals? They ran the ball at least 30 times in each game. That's a clear indicator of what we need to do, consistency on the ground. Now, talking about the defensive side, the Commanders' mission won't be a walk in the park. We'll have to deal with none other than Chase and T. Higgins. Yes, folks, Chase is recovering, and Higgins is expected to play. This means our secondary defense will have to be sharper than ever. Recent history shows that our defensive backs have struggled against great receivers. Remember the first week against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? Together, they totaled 144 yards and 3 touchdowns, and in the last game, Malik Neighbors had 127 yards and a touchdown. These numbers are concerning, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. The Commanders' defense has been improving, that's a fact. Coach Dan Quinn said that communication between players is improving every week, but there's still a lot to improve. The key here will be to limit the explosive moments of Chase and Higgins. There were moments in the game against the Giants where our secondary showed they can do this. Remember St. Juste? He made a crucial play in the 4th quarter, knocking the ball away from Neighbors. We're going to need a lot more of that on Monday. If we can combine a good performance from the secondary with consistent pass rush, our defense will give them trouble. And speaking of defense, folks, something we have to value is the fact that the Commanders haven't committed any turnovers this season. That's huge. We're among the only 2 teams in the league that haven't handed the ball over on a silver platter to the opponent. And you know how crucial that is, right? Our quarterback, Jaden Daniels, has been a key piece in this. He's completing 75.5% of his passes and has the 9th best passer rating in the NFL. The guy knows how to protect the ball, and even though most passes are short, he's starting to take a few more risks, which is a good sign. Now, let's not be naive, folks. Eventually, we're going to commit a turnover. It might even be against the Bengals. The important thing is that when it happens, we can't let the error turn into an avalanche. We can't give the Bengals more chances than necessary. They already have 3 takeaways this season and are a defense that likes to pressure quarterbacks. So, we'll need to be careful, especially on passing plays. Oh, and keep an eye on Robinson Jr. too, because the guy has only lost 2 fumbles in his entire career. So, folks, will the Commanders be able to maintain this level of efficiency in the ground attack and limit errors against the Bengals? We know the challenge is big, but with this team growing week after week, it's impossible not to be optimistic. So, tell me in the comments, what do you think will be the decisive factor for victory? Will our run game prevail, or will the Bengals defense be able to hold the line? Well, folks, that was today's analysis, and I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Commanders have finally found their formula for success? Or are there still some adjustments needed to get there? Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to leave that like. And now, the burning question. If the Commanders can maintain this level of play, do you think we're going to the playoffs?